Hello and welcome to Omni Deep Dive. We explore any topic from finance and technology to literature and science. Sit back, focus, and get ready to dive deep.
Okay, be honest for a second. How many times have you been stuck in a game of Monopoly and it's just dragged on for so long that you have seriously considered just flipping the whole table?
Well, we've all been there.
We've all been there. You're clutching the little top hat or the race car or maybe the old cannon if you remember that piece, and you're just waiting for mercy, for anyone, literally anyone, to finally go bankrupt.
And then you look up at the clock, it's 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
and you've lost 3 hours of your life arguing over, St. Charles Place.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, that frustration, it's completely unnecessary. Monopoly is this global symbol of, ruthless capitalism. But almost everything people think they know about it, from who invented it to how long it's actually supposed to take to play, is just wrong.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to get into the hidden history, the secret mechanics of the world's most famous and maybe most infuriating board game. We went through the sources you sent over, and what we found shows a game that is just fundamentally misunderstood.
What's so fascinating is the irony, the sheer irony that's just baked into its DNA. We're going to cover, I think, 3 big hidden truths. First, the real mathematical reason your games are taking 4 hours. Second, the statistically best way to win, which most players completely miss. And third, the just mind-blowing story of how this kid's game became part of a massive covert operation during World War II.
Let's start right at the beginning. We have to bust that foundational myth, the story of Charles Darrow, you know the one. The struggling inventor, basement, Great Depression.
Right. It's a powerful story because it's the American dream, right? This guy with some ingenuity pulling himself up by his bootstraps. And the sources confirm the basics. Darrow did sell the game to Parker Brothers in 1935.
And he got a pretty good deal.
Oh, a great deal. He got royalties and something like $7,000 up front. He insisted he was the sole inventor.
But here's the paradox, the part of the story that's so rich. Parker Brothers, this huge company, they had already said no to the game.
Not just once.
Twice. They flat out rejected it. They said it was, and I'm quoting here, too complicated, took too long to play.
And my favorite part, they believed concepts like mortgages would be, quote, alien to most players.
That's unbelievable.
The company that would make millions off this game thought the basic concepts were too advanced for the average person, just before it became this runaway success.
So if the big corporation thought it was too complicated, why did it take off? Why did the public in the middle of the Depression latch onto it?
It exploded because of its cutthroat nature, not in spite of it. You have to think about the context, the 1930s. The game gave people this powerful psychological release. For people who'd lost everything, it was a fantasy.
It let them hold fistfuls of paper money.
And buy and own property when they couldn't in real life. It was pure escapism.
You could role play as a tycoon for a few hours.
Exactly. It gave you permission to hammer your friends and relatives into bankruptcy right there on the kitchen table. It was popular because it let people simulate the very power they were lacking.
And the irony is just, it's perfect. The corporation rejects a game about wealth, only for that very game to become a symbol of business because it tapped into everyone's desire for wealth.
Perfect irony.
And speaking of small details, those early Darrow copies, they were literally handmade, right? He didn't even include the little token.
That's a great little trivia nugget. Darrow's instructions actually just told people to use, random stuff from around the house. A thimble, a button, a coin.
Ah, really?
Yeah. And when Parker Brothers finally picked it up, they took that idea and started using little charms from charm bracelets. That's where the Scotty dog and the race car came from.
Okay, let's pivot now to the big one, the pain point. Why does Monopoly take 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours to play?
The secret reason is actually really simple, and it's a hard truth.
What is it?
You, the player, are breaking the game. There is a direct mathematical link between Monopoly taking forever and the house rules everyone uses.
And the sources point to 2 main culprits, which you're right, everyone does. First, not optioning off properties when someone lands on one and doesn't want to buy it.
And the second one, which is probably the most damaging, is putting all the fines and taxes in the middle of the board.
The free parking jackpot.
We're all guilty of it. But that jackpot is the key mathematical mistake. The whole point of Monopoly, the way it was designed, is to be a game of elimination. It's supposed to be a closed economy. Money goes from you to another player to the bank and back.
It should never be just created out of thin air.
Exactly. But the free parking jackpot does just that. It injects a huge amount of new money into the system.
So all that cash that should be going back to the bank to be taken out of play
Is instead just pooling in the center, waiting to be dumped back onto the board, saving a player who should be going bankrupt.
It's an anti-elimination rule.
It's a massive one. If you can't run people out of money, the game can't end. In the official rules, which lead to like a 60 or 90-minute game, free parking is just a space. Nothing happens.
It's just a rest stop. And the auction rule is almost as bad for the game's pace, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The official rules are very clear. If you land on an unowned property and you don't buy it, the banker must immediately auction it to the highest bidder.
Which almost no one does.
Nobody does. And when those properties just sit there unowned, it takes so much longer for monopolies to form. It slows down development, slows down the high rents, and slows down the bankruptcies.
So if you want to play the game the right way, be ruthless, auction everything, and put no money on free parking.
You do those two things, you eliminate the 3-hour slog.
Okay, so let's move from frustration to strategy. If we actually play by the real rules, what's the statistically best way to win?
The optimal strategy is hiding in plain sight. But most people miss it because they're just looking at the wrong part of the board. It all comes down to probability and jail.
Yeah, the instinct is to go for the expensive stuff, right? The dark blues. Park Place and Boardwalk.
The classic trap. They look impressive with a hotel, but they cost a fortune to buy and an even bigger fortune to develop.
Because what's the real secret?
The orange properties. New York Avenue, Tennessee Avenue, and St. James Place.
Orange. Really, they're just kind of in the middle.
The data is very clear. They offer a much, much higher revenue to investment ratio than any other color group. It's not even close.
Okay, why? What's the mechanic behind that?
It's all about jail. The most frequently landed on square in the entire game is jail, and not just from rolling doubles.
You've got the go to jail square, the chance cards.
Right. And when you get out of jail, where do you start your next turn?
Right there in the corner. In jail, just visiting.
Exactly. And what's a highly probable roll from that corner with 2 dice, a 6, an 8, or a 9 lands you smack in the middle of the orange properties.
So jail isn't a penalty. It's a launch pad that puts players right into the highest traffic area of the board.
Precisely. The game's own mechanics are constantly funneling players towards the orange properties. They have a much higher landing frequency. If you get that set and put 3 houses on each, you will drain your opponent's cash faster than anything else.
That's a deep cut into the mechanics. So the key is probability, not just buying the most expensive property you land on.
It's all about location, location, location.
Speaking of things hidden in plain sight, the final story from the sources is it's an even bigger secret. It's one hidden not in the rules, but inside the game box itself. This is where it gets really interesting.
This is the story that sounds like a pop culture conspiracy, but it's completely true. Monopoly was secretly drafted into service during World War II.
And this wasn't some minor thing. This was an operation run by the UK government, specifically a group called MI9.
British Directorate of Military Intelligence, Section 9. Their entire job was escape and evasion. And they teamed up with John Waddington's, the company that made the game in the UK.
And the plan they came up with was just stunningly clever.
MI9 needed a way to get escape aids into German POW camps, and they needed it to be undetectable.
So they created these fake charities we talked about earlier?
Yes, the Prisoners' Leisure Hours Fund, things like that. Under that cover, they sent these special parcels to the camps. The Germans saw a board game for bored prisoners.
But the prisoners saw a lifeline. It was the perfect cover, right? Because MI9 knew they couldn't use official Red Cross parcels. Those were inspected way too closely.
A harmless game, though. The guards welcomed it. The contents were hidden inside the actual game board, like physically sandwiched between the printed top and the cardboard backing.
And the things they hid in there, it's incredible.
The lists are amazing. Tiny little compasses, maybe an inch across, 2 different kinds of metal files for cutting through fences, even a small set of folding shears.
And the silk maps. That's the part that blows my mind. Maps printed on silk.
Silk because it doesn't rustle like paper. It's durable. You can scrunch it up into a tiny ball. And each map was specific to the region the camp was in.
So someone was hand-packing these with specific maps for specific camps. The risk involved is, wow.
And they even hid foreign currency. They'd take a stack of French francs or German marks and put a few Monopoly bills on the top and bottom to disguise it.
But how did they tell the prisoners which map was inside without tipping off the guards?
This might be the most genius part of the whole thing. They used a tiny, seemingly random period printed on the game board.
A punctuation mark.
Yep, like a tiny printing error that a guard would never notice. For example, a period after Mayfair meant the map inside was for Scandinavia. A period after free parking meant the map was for northern France.
They turned the graphic design of the board into a secret code.
The instruction manual for the world's most famous game became an instruction manual for freedom.
And the ultimate irony, to bring it all home, the German guards were actually happy when these games showed up.
They were thrilled. They thought it would keep the prisoners busy, distract them, make them, and I quote, less inclined to spend their time thinking about how to escape.
They thought it was a tool for containment.
When it was actually a tool of liberation. It helped hundreds of Allied soldiers and airmen get home.
So, what a deep dive. We've completely debunked the game's origin story, explained exactly why your family games take way too long.
We've given you the secret winning strategy with the orange properties.
And uncovered a real-life spy operation that used this game board we all have in our closets.
You know, the bigger picture here is that Monopoly really proves that the rules you accept, they define the outcome more than anything else, whether it's the official rules, the house rules that break the game, or the rules of war.
Knowing the system is everything.
It's the ultimate currency.
And speaking of knowledge, the sources mention that one of MI9's most successful escape routes was through the Baltic ports to Sweden, a route supported by these special silk maps. But that success required enormous risk, both from the agents smuggling the games and the prisoners using them.
And that leaves a really interesting question for you to think about. What level of risk is acceptable when knowledge, whether that's knowing the real rules of the game or having a silk escape map, is literally the difference between captivity and freedom?
Something to think about the next time you land on New York Avenue or decide whether to auction off a property.
That wraps up this Omni Deep Dive episode. Thank you for listening. If you found value in today's deep dive, please click like and subscribe to our channel. Take care.